Still in Bend. I'm just playing catch up on these videos, guys. I'm sorry. But the good news is I've been taking really detailed notes so I remember the trip. And I've been recording video and it's been all organized. I've just not been doing this. And I need to do this so that I can edit it all together. Yeah, so, you know, where did I leave you guys? I was finishing up in the White Mountains and then, you know, did some administrative stuff in the cafe and then set out for Portland, Maine. As I mentioned, some guy on the trail had recommended driving down the Cocamongo road, which was really beautiful. Lots of nice scenic stops, windy road through the trees. I really enjoyed it. And on my way there, I started getting hungry because I love food and I am always hungry. But I stopped at this place called Sweet Savory Bakehouse. And this was probably one of the best breakfast sandwiches I've ever eaten in my life. I kid you not. I highly recommend that you go there. They bake their own English muffins and it was simple bacon, egg, and cheese on there, but they use very good. Actually, I did sausage, not bacon. My apologies. And it was very good meat. The cheese was delicious, and those crispy yet fluffy English muffins were scrumptious. I was only about an hour outside of Portland at this point. So I was driving in, and it was just very rainy. The entire time I was there, it was pretty rainy, but that day was the worst. And quickly just checked into my hotel in downtown Portland, right on the water. It was really beautiful. Given that my camping gear from early in the morning was pretty wet and kind of dirty, I took that into the hotel room as well, and I rinsed off the tarps and whatnot in the shower, which I then cleaned. You know me, I wouldn't have gotten in if it wasn't clean. And then just kind of like let them dry out throughout the day in the hotel room while I went to a brewery next door. A, to kill some time, B, to I don't know, do what people in Portland do, go to a brewery, right? Like had some sort of IPA. I'm not an IPA guy, and I think it's a little annoying when that's all they serve at these craft breweries, but whatever, right? I'm, you know, who am I? I'm just visiting. So I ordered a beer and some Brussels sprouts, which were amazing. And then this couple next to me started talking to me. And, you know, it was a large order of Brussels sprouts, so I offered them some. And then they had some loaded fries that were kind of like poutine, so I had some of that. It was also very good. And I didn't want to eat too much because I was literally getting ready to meet my friend for like happy hour and dinner. And we met just an old friend from New York. Who now lives up there. We met around 5:30 and then went happy hour at Eventide, where I had the dirty martini, which was actually really, really delicious. And then we got some oysters and a lobster like bisque or chowder. It wasn't the white creamy kind. It was almost, I don't want to say it was pink, but it had a little bit of red in there too. It was the best thing I ate in Portland was this clam chowder or lobster chowder or lobster bisque. I can't remember what it was, but it was phenomenal. From there, we went and had dinner at this place called Street & Co. She had the scallops, I had the halibut. Both were delicious. I think the scallops were definitely the win, so if you're going to go, I would highly recommend getting those. And the dessert, they had this panna cotta. I don't know how to pronounce it, and before you make fun of me, just Google it, and I'll do the same after this video, so thanks. You can, and it just like melted in your mouth. It was so good. After copious amounts of food, went and had one more drink to end the night, and then I was dead tired, so I went back to my hotel room, crashed. Up early the next morning, did a little bit of walking, and then went and got a little bit of breakfast at this place called the Speckled Axe. not as good a breakfast sandwich, but still pretty solid. Coffee was alright too, but I ended up chatting with some people that were sitting around me while I was editing. One person was a doctor, and then, you know, her colleague came and they were in deep conversation, and then this other person sat down next to me. Yo, this girl straight up brought her own unpasteurized, like, fresh milk that she had just literally gotten from a cow like an hour before. I thought that was pretty interesting, but hey, you know what? It's cool. To each their own. Chatted with her for a minute, and then went back to editing, and from there I knew I had some stuff I had to take care of, so I wanted to run to REI and pick up some gear, packing cubes and a tarp for the next campsite that I could set up so that I have a, you know, a little more shelter if it rains again. And I needed to switch out like the gas canister for my little jet boil, because the one that I bought didn't fit. It's really annoying that they don't have like a universal hookup to every type of like little propane tank. From, you know, REI, I ended up going to do some more walking around, and I went and I flew the drone shot around, and as I was walking out, there was this lady doing step-ups on this rock right on the little edge of the park. And I went in, took photos, took video, spent a good bit of time doing that, and then on my way back, she's still doing step-ups. So I walked past her, and then I stopped, and I'm like, hey, you know, how many are you doing? She's 1,000. I was like, oh shit, how many you got left? She was like, about 140. I was like, you got this. And, you know, I cheered her on for a minute, and then I went on about my life. And I drove out to, she ended up finishing, I think, I don't know, I'm guessing 140. She'd already done, I don't know, 860. I'm sure she was just fine. But I wanted to check out this lighthouse, so I drove out to the lighthouse, droned it a bit. There was another lighthouse way out at sea, and I straight up I flew the drone all the way out. I was impressed with its range. I'd never flown it out that far. The furthest I'd flown it out was in the Azores, off the little island, and it wouldn't even. I started losing RC connection as it was like flying towards that island, and I feel like this was further out. So, you know, this is I don't know, like, it's pretty much the same drone. It's the Mavic 2 versus the Mavic 1. I don't know. After walking around in the like lighthouse park and taking photos and videos, I ended up booking a yoga class. So I went back to the hotel, changed, grabbed my yoga mat, and kind of meandered through town a little bit because I had some time to kill. They had a bunch of cool dispensaries that I popped into, and may or may not have made a purchase or two. Yoga was great. I went to the Portland Yoga Collective. Jesse and Danielle were there. I think Jesse is like the person who runs it. I straight up fell asleep while waiting for a class to start. So I put my yoga mat down and lay down and do Shavasana, and I straight up fell asleep. I woke up and the class was full. I'm pretty sure I was snoring at one point. I just meant to like relax for a minute. But then the flow was nice. It wasn't too difficult, but it was a good stretch, especially with all the driving I'd been doing. I really liked the class. After class, I went back to one of the dispensaries and bought a beverage, and kind of just walked home. On my walk home, I made a reservation at this Japanese restaurant called Yozuka. Went home, showered, and literally walked right back because the restaurant was very close to the yoga studio, fairly close. But I mean, you know, it's not a huge town, so it's just kind of quick there and back. The food was amazing here. I ordered way too much. Appetizers, I ordered the gyoza and this fried chicken, and they cut it into cubes. After they fried it, it was the best part of the meal. It was so good that I recommended the couple that came and sat next to me. Was like, yo, you guys gotta order the chicken, fuck everything else. And then I ordered like 3 large rolls of sushi, which I did not finish, and obviously being me, I offered it to the people sitting next to me. I don't like to waste food, so they had a little bit of it. And then they kind of gave me some tips on the route to take to Acadia, which was my next leg. And I got some really delicious sake there, and they serve it in these like little bamboo square, I get a cup, but it's a square and it's made out of wood, and you just kind of sip it like so, and it was really cool. Did not get dessert there because it was stuffed. Went and walked around, and then met up my friend Hannah for another evening drink and some dessert at the Danforth. The dessert there was unbelievably amazing, and I had an espresso martini, which was also delicious. I know it's pretty basic, but I was yawning, and I figured I want to at least, enjoy my last night in Portland with a little bit more energy. Bounced around a bit, and then got back to my hotel around, I don't know, maybe 11, 12, something like that. I could not sleep. I was wide awake and ended up binge watching Bob's Burger for a while, until at some point I just remember waking up at 4 or 5 and it was still on. I can't stress how good the dessert was there. I don't even know what we ate. I can't remember. I don't remember what it was. I didn't write it down, and I'm very upset about it, but all I can tell you, it was very good. The next morning, I woke up a little later than I wanted to, and I'm really bummed because I had booked this like whale watching tour, and I was really excited about it. I was like, 10:30, I gotta be there at 10. Packed my gear, put it in the car. Parking was a pain to find that day because it was the first beautiful sunny day too. So it was just packed down there. I grabbed my gear, put my backpack on, parked the car, and I'm like rushing to get to the boat by 10 because you needed to be there 30 minutes early. Well, I'm an idiot because the boat was leaving at 10. So I missed the boat. I was, no pun intended, but I missed the boat, and I was so bummed because I really wanted to see some whales. Ah, man, I don't know, next time. So what do I do when that happened? I went and got some more food, man. I went to Gilbert's and I had a lobster roll, and it was good. It was fine lobster roll. It's an establishment there, but it wasn't like oh my god, this is the most amazing lobster roll of my life. But it was pretty freaking good. The clam chowder there, though, that was pretty damn good. I'm not gonna lie. I got I think it was clam chowder, and they put a bunch of stuff in there. I think they had shrimp in there too, which was tasty. But yeah, I mean, just kind of like hung out in Portland a bit longer, and then time came to set out towards Acadia.